Hello and welcome to 2020 Vision. I'm Michael Gregson, and joining me today is one of the most influential men in Sri Lanka, the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Ajith Nivad Cabral. How do you see your role as Governor of the Central Bank?
See, Michael, the Central Bank has two key objectives. One is the securing of economic and price stability. The other is the securing of financial system stability. Both these may sound somewhat vague, but these are the core functions which determine the economic structure of the country. Price stability means keeping the prices at a level which is not increasing too fast, which makes it difficult for people to manage their companies or businesses or their personal lives. Financial system stability is ensuring that the system stays stable in order to create a proper platform for all the transactions to take place. Now these are very important for the economy to be sustained, and the Central Bank has been entrusted with that role. Now at the Central Bank we have very competent people, and I think that's the place where we have the best talent in the country. So my job is to lead them, to ensure that these areas of the economy which we need to provide to society are actually delivered. So we have a monetary board. With that we ensure that these services as well as these outcomes are provided to the country. In addition to that, of course, we have other key functions for the state, like the public debt management, the management of the Employees Provident Fund, which is the largest superannuation fund in the country. Plus a few other areas as well. Maybe we'll talk about it as we go on. But leading that is the governor's role, and it is somewhat responsible to the country in order to ensure that we deliver these. But of course, what many people associate the governor with is that his signature is there in the currency notes. So that's also one of the functions that the Central Bank does in issuing currency for the country.
You've been governor since 2006. During that time, the economy has grown in leaps and bounds. But what particular achievements stand out for you?
I think if I look back, what I would think as being most significant is that we have been able to steer the country from a war economy, which again was a very big burden on the country to ensure that we keep the economy stable at that time. That transition had to be managed. We have managed that. And whilst managing it, we have also been able to position the country as an emerging nation which is recognized worldwide. And today, being recognized as a country which is emerging fast and is on the forefront of the emerging nations. So that transition had to be managed, and I think one of the satisfying parts of the job has been to steer that through those difficult times and to take it where it is, and steer the economy at a very difficult time when the global financial crisis was also hitting the world. I would think that the Central Bank has come through all those challenges with a reasonable degree of success, and I would like to think that we have been able to play our part in the overall economic progress of our country.
But with the benefit of hindsight, is there anything that you might have done differently?
Very little. I must give the credit to my team who have guided the decision-making process very effectively. Of course, you need to have a little bit of foresight, as well as maybe I would say a little bit of luck as well, to see that you make the right decisions, because very often, as they say in the case of economists, they will give you advice with two hands. On one hand it is this, and on the other hand it is that. So you've got to make a call. And I would think that we have been careful enough, meticulous enough to make the right calls. And one of the main reasons for that is, I think, that we have meticulously planned. Each year we go through what is known as a strategic planning exercise, and that focuses on the future of the country as well as the central bank's functions for the next 5 years, and that prepares us very, very well to meet with whatever challenges. And I would like to give credit to that process as well, that we have been able to take more decisions that are right than wrong.
You touched on the global financial crisis. You can't plan or prepare for that.
Well, actually, you can. I'll put it this way. Any crisis, for you to be able to manage, you've got to be strong. If you're not strong and if you don't have spaces, you will be inundated with problems as a result of the shock. Each one of these are like shocks. So what do you do in the case of a shock? You have a shock absorber. So within the central bank and the government, you got to prepare shock absorbers for the economy so that you take the brunt of it as soon as the shock hits you, and then over a period of time you can always make adjustments. But the initial shock is what is most difficult to manage, and to manage that you need to have space. I'll give you a little bit of example on that. Now, if you have inflation at low numbers, if there is some major crisis where prices are going up in the world, you have space for it to go up a little bit, and there won't be too much of a crisis in the country. If you have good growth like what we are having, you can take a little hit on the growth without having too many difficulties to face. If you have good reserves, you can use a part of it to absorb the shock. So the idea to deal with shocks is to have the space, and we diligently built up spaces in good times. So if you build up spaces in good times, you can withstand the shock and then plan to mitigate it thereafter. But in global financial crisis, that's what we did. We dealt with it, but I must say it was a shock, no doubt. But perhaps the fact that we did have some spaces gave us the opportunity as well as the ability to deal with it.
But it was an unprecedented bank crash. It seriously damaged the economy in Europe, the US, around the world. So how is it that Sri Lanka was so resilient?
I would say, Michael, that the key was that we maintained confidence in the economy. We took decisions fast so that there was no procrastination. People found that we were able to be nimble-footed, move at quick intervals, which again was very important. I believe the reason why many of those economies faced so many problems was that they were too slow in their decision making, and they were too they were too little as well. Too slow, too little. And when you do that, there is a huge body of people, persons who are affected by the crisis, who lose confidence. And when they lose confidence, you got to do more than what you should have done in the first instance. We fortunately had a president who was also the finance minister, with whom we could talk and come to certain decisions very quickly. We had to intervene in certain instances in the case of a bank that faced problems, and our decision making was so quick that before it could really escalate into something quite difficult, we were able to deal with it. So I would like to, when I look back, think that we did those basics right, and if you do those basics right, you find that you are in a much better footing to deal with those problems than if you were not.
So Sri Lanka is on a good footing now. It weathered the global financial storm. Growth is running at over 7%, but there are some big targets for Vision 2020. Cutting unemployment to 3%, poverty to 1%, per capita income to top $7,000 a year. Are these targets really realistic?
Let me put it this way. We started off in 2006, and at that time we set some really tough targets, even more challenging than what we have set now, because we are on a reasonably good platform now. But at the time that we made those targets in 2006, the country was at war, inflation was running high, reserves were low down to a few weeks, we had the global financial crisis on the verge of striking. So these were all massive challenges. But we set our sights on a reasonably long time horizon, where we said that we will aspire to be a $4,000 per capita income. Now we said this in 2006, when our per capita income was about $1,500. And at that time, many people would have thought we should have been looking at $2,000. But we didn't look at $2,000. We set our goals at a $4,000 per capita income at 2016. And then we programmed as well as fashioned the economy to move to that scale and to move to that target. So with that, there was a need to bring inflation down, there was a need to build up reserves, there was a need to bring unemployment down, there was a need to expand the economy. So all these were part and parcel of that overall objective of getting to about a $4,000 per capita income. Now, as we have progressed, we found that it is getting more and more within striking distance. And today we can say that by 2015, that is 1 year before our due date, we would reach a $4,000 per capita income. Now, from now onwards, we need to set something else as our targets. So now we are in 2014, and if we do not plan beyond 2016, we would probably get stuck and not have the direction set out for the economy. That is why we decided to have another longer term horizon, setting up for 2020 and thinking, okay, this is where we would like to be by 2020, and we meticulously have planned for that goal. And I think, as you quite rightly said, it is challenging. Maybe it might look a little unrealistic at the first glance, but I think we are very well set to achieve those, and I would like to look back someday in 2022 and say this is what we had planned for, and we have achieved it.
Assuming everything goes to plan and the targets are met in 2020, how do you avoid the notorious middle income trap? Rising inflation, productivity problems, all of this, how do you avoid it?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Now, we have studied at the central bank, that's one great advantage that we have. We have the resources to be able to study the good experiences as well as bad experiences of various countries. Now, there are several countries who have got trapped, as you have quite rightly mentioned. So we have examined meticulously why did they get trapped, what were the reasons. Then there were countries that didn't get trapped, who have moved forward seamlessly and had a very good growth story even beyond the $4,000 and so on. Now, when you study, you find that the countries that really went through that process seamlessly were the countries that thought ahead, and when they were at around $2,500 per capita incomes, that they expanded their economy with new areas of operations. Now, in 2009, you would remember that the President, in his Mahinda Chintana vision for the future, articulated the 5-hub concept, where the economy was going to be driven across 5 new thrust areas. It's like in businesses, you talk about new stars for a company, where you would have a star nurtured gently so that it will become a cash cow over a period of time. Now, countries are no different. We also have to have some stars that are nurtured carefully to come to a reasonable place where it will start making a lot of money after some time. So we started developing 5 new hubs: maritime, aviation, knowledge, energy, and commercial. All these we have a lot of comparative advantage. Now, by nurturing those gently, we would ensure that within the next 2 to 3 years, and maybe 5 years in the case of some, those will become very important facets of development and thrust areas. So those will take us through seamlessly. And of course, we have several other areas which are doing very well too. Tourism. I think the end of the conflict gave a huge impetus to tourism, and I think our numbers now are one of the best in the world, where the growth numbers in tourism have been far beyond many people's expectations. That plus the apparel industry, and of course our traditional industries like tea and rubber and coconut and gems and jewelry, all these are now being placed and positioned in a way that it can have continuous growth. So the policies are in place, we have good fundamentals, we have a good support coming from investors both locally and from foreign sources, and I think we are well set to overcome the middle income trap and seamlessly move forward.
Sri Lanka's
සැබෑ පිහිටක් වන්නන් තවමත් අපට මුණගැසෙන කමර්ෂල් ක්‍රෙඩිට් මනුදම් පෙරටු මූල්‍ය සමාගම.
අනිත් අයගේ ජීවිතවලට ආදරය කරන්න මම පුතාට පුංචි කාලෙදිම කියලා දුන්නා. එයා සෙලින්කොලයි විකුණුම් උපදේශකවරයෙක්. එයාට ලැබෙන අත්දැකි ඉහළ ආදායම මේ රට පිට රට පුහුණු
ජීවිතේ ජය ගන්න අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න.
ළඟම ඇති සෙලින්කෝ ලයිෆ් ශාඛාවෙන් ඔබේ අයිදුම් පත අදම ලබා ගන්න. සෙලින්කෝ ලයිෆ්.
නැවතත් සුපුරුදු වැඩසටහන.
Sri Lanka's productivity is pretty good, certainly by regional standards, but you're still a long way behind Singapore, Hong Kong, which you're sometimes spoken of in the same breath. How can you catch up with them? There's a lot of public holidays here, there's a lot of red tape.
That's again a very good question, and I think it's a very fair one too. The idea behind productivity is that you've got to develop a good work ethic. Now at the central bank, we do the data, we collect all the data in the country, and within 3 months we publish what is known as the annual report. Now we have 4 months to do that by law, but we do that in 3 months because we do it as a challenge for ourselves, as well as to have an additional month being provided to our stakeholders to go through the report, which is a clear indication of what we can do if we really set our minds to it. If you walk on Sunday in Colombo, you will find that there are many people working. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you will find that the streets are cleaned. You will find that some projects that are started up today, within 2-3 days, it has become much larger and a lot of work has been done. We finished a war which many people thought we couldn't finish. Now these are all indications of a change in the work ethic as well as a change in the level of productivity in our country. As you quite rightly mentioned, we have some more to go. We have a lot of catching up to do. But I'm satisfied with the way it has moved. And I also think that what we have delivered, we have not delivered in the recent past with new people coming from outside. These are all our people. If you look at the roads, if you look at the buildings, if you look at the renovations that are being done, we don't have outside people working in this country. Maybe some outside top brains have come in to provide the loans or investment. But really, it's the people of this country who are working. So that shows that they are working better now. Maybe they are well paid as well. And that's a very important part of our whole economic structure.
But productivity isn't just about the number of hours worked. People work longer hours in the UK than Germany, yet Germany vastly outproduces Britain. You've got to work smart as well, haven't you?
Absolutely. That's why I said it's with the same people that we have delivered a lot more. Now, if you look at Sri Lanka's growth, Sri Lanka's developments over the last 5 to 6 years, you will see a huge difference. You will see a huge difference. Now, that means with the same number of people, we have been able to deliver a lot more. Even in our agricultural sector, the number of people who are working in the agricultural sector are less, but we are producing a lot more food, which again means that there is smart work and better quality work. So, and we are also seeing some migration from certain sectors to other sectors. But those sectors from which the migration took place haven't suffered. Again, it shows that there has been an improvement in the productivity levels. So that's why I said I'm satisfied as of now what we have achieved. But I would think that there is space for more work to be done. And I think Sri Lanka will become an extremely productive country in time to come. And that benefit would also go to the people of this country. Because if you can do the work which normally was done by 2 persons, why should you not get paid double the amount? So with that philosophy, we can see many young people today starting up businesses, starting up new ventures, and that's also another very important facet of the development activities of our country.
I was going to ask you, how can you make sure that you produce enough high-quality jobs for all the university graduates you're producing so that they stay and keep their knowledge and their brains in Sri Lanka rather than going abroad?
Yeah. The advantage of today's world is that you sometimes may not need to be placed in a particular location in order to provide the services to that country or to the world. Now Sri Lanka is the hub for many global names where we are producing the work for them. The London Stock Exchange is powered out of software developed here, and it's powered out of Colombo. Google Finance also uses a lot of Sri Lankan brains to prepare their analysis. Now, these are indications that we are gradually providing good quality people for the world. Sri Lanka has the second largest per capita numbers in accountants in the world. Again, it shows that we are producing good people. Our IT graduates are also pretty good, and they are sort of all over the world. And they're doing some good work in Sri Lanka as well. And we are training a lot more people. The country's IT literacy rate was only about 5% in 2006. Today it is 45%. And we are aiming to get it up to 75% by 2020, which would mean that we would have a larger number of people who can command better salaries, and that would be an important part of what you just asked me. So working smarter with better qualified, better experienced people, them also having an entrepreneurial flair where they can pick up certain niches in the world in order to produce their services and provide them. All of that will probably reposition Sri Lanka's labor availability, and that's a good thing for the country.
දක්ෂිණ අධිවේගී මාර්ගය කොළඹ සිට දකුණට පියනගන්නේ සරුසාර කෙත්බිම් මෙන්ම තවත් කාර්මික ආයෝජනයන්ට අවැසි මාර්ගෙත් විවර කරමිනි. කිලෝමීටර් 160ක දුරකින් සමන්විත මෙම මාර්ගය 2006 වසරේදී ඉදිකිරීම ආරම්භ අතර අද වන විට එහි පහසුකම් භුක්ති විඳීමේ අවස්ථාව ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන්ට මෙන්ම සමස්ත ලෝකවාසී ජනතාවටම උදා වී ඇත්තේ නැවුම් පණිවිඩයක්ද සමගිනි. දිනෙන් දින දියුණුවට ලක්වන යටිතල පහසුකම් පද්ධතිය කියාපාන්නේ දේශීය මෙන්ම විදේශීය ආයෝජකයින්ට සාර්ථක ව්‍යවසායකට අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් රට තුළ ගොඩනැගී ඇති බවකි. ඒ අනුව ආයෝජන අවස්ථාවන් උරගා බැලීමට දක්ෂිණ අධිවේගී මාර්ගය මහඟු මෙහෙවරක් වනු ඇති.
මෙල්වා කම්බි ගනිද්දී
මෙරට ආර්ථික සංවර්ධනය වෙනුවෙන් ඉදිවන දක්ෂිණ අධිවේගී මාර්ගය කොළඹ සිට දකුණට පියනගන්නේ සරුසාර කෙත්බිම් මෙන්ම තවත් කාර්මික ආයෝජනයන්ට අවැසි මාර්ගෙත් විවර කරමිනි. කිලෝමීටර් 160ක දුරකින් සමන්විත මෙම මාර්ගය 2006 වසරේදී ඉදිකිරීම ආරම්භ අතර අද වන විට එහි පහසුකම් භුක්ති විඳීමේ අවස්ථාව ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන්ට මෙන්ම සමස්ත ලෝකවාසී ජනතාවටම උදා වී ඇත්තේ නැවුම් පණිවිඩයක්ද සමගිනි. දිනෙන් දින දියුණුවට ලක්වන යටිතල පහසුකම් පද්ධතිය කියාපාන්නේ දේශීය මෙන්ම විදේශීය ආයෝජකයින්ට සාර්ථක ව්‍යවසායකට අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් රට තුළ ගොඩනැගී ඇති බවකි. ඒ අනුව ආයෝජන අවස්ථාවන් උරගා බැලීමට දක්ෂිණ අධිවේගී මාර්ගය මහඟු මෙහෙවරක් වනු ඇති.
මෙල්වා කම්බි ගනිද්දී